is not. Yeah, it is.
So I need the approval of regular minutes from the last meeting. You guys, all right, have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Can you sign this one or yours?
You got one over here for you.
Then,
You do the aviation
number 9,
electronics?
old business.
No,
Okay,
thank you.
that's the only thing on gov deals right now.
Did you find it?
On gov deals, they just have some electronics.
Okay, with that, on old business, the first thing is the George Hunt Green, the 11:15 hearing, we'll come back to that. Next thing, update on the village of Deer Creek, pipe is in, there was a, probably, 10-foot long section of pipe that was completely full of roots. So, when pulling the old out, putting the new in, we did find that, up or closer to the highway. So, we got that all taken care of. Still gotta do the dress up work, it's been raining ever since, and we got
That end of there is on us, right, cause it was on the county property?
It ended on us originally, yes. Where it dumped into the old Deer Creek bed, and then we extended it on out past Al's. Lotus's, he owned the land between the old Deer Creek and New Deer Creek.
Right.
So we continued it out and dumped it actually into the Deer Creek, so it's not filling that channel behind.
So he'll actually kinda dry out, maybe.
Sort of, when the water comes up, the old creek bed is still there, and it has not ever been like a dike built along the inlet there, so we had water running across top of our pipe in that old riverbed. It washed dirt off once, but I mean, it was just
That's
small
not-
sections,
Alright, that's not on our issue though.
no, well, I mean, it will if it keeps washing, but we've been hoping it's, gonna dry out, we're gonna bring in some more dirt and put a good cover over, maybe a couple of those riprap, kinda help deter the water from running across that area.
Okay.
But,
I was out by that, man, I forgot to go down.
yeah, so that's where it's at, he was real impressed with the workers we had out there, they done a real quick job and done a good job, and, other than, like I say, we got finished, we literally got it in, and we got to 7 inches of rain, and go that next week or whatever, like 4 inches one day, and a couple 3 the next, and kinda, so it was kinda,
I know it's been bothering me for years, so.
yeah, so then he's already agreed to, let us bring some, when it gets close, we can bring dirt down and dump in a field right at the bottom of it, behind his house. And with tri-axles, dump it there, and then get a single axle and drive across his land, so it's not near as heavy, and get the dirt back there closer, so we don't have to travel near as far with the skid steer to get it, so. He's working with us, we're just gonna kinda work with him and try to do what we can with him, and fix anything to tear up on his property type stuff, so. But I'm sure maybe now, maybe either winter or spring, depending on when we can get to it. But it is up and working, and we have plenty of ball to put that extension of the pipe on, so. Next thing, Kingsland Hollow, just actually got a phone call this morning, going out after the meeting to check it out, they said they're done with all the dirt work. As far as all the swells put in and stuff like that, they got the 2 pipes put under the driveway yet, but,
Fairmont?
Yeah. I mean, they got the 2 pipes, and they're supposed to be getting those this week from the windmill farms up there to put in, so, it should be wrapped up by this weekend, so. So then they will have the bond since it's all done, and I have to sign off or approve it or whatever, so. Number 8, Clark Lowry drain, we do have, last meeting, Les rescinded the agreement that the, Steve Mills had with the drainage board back in '68. Ted, drew up a mutual recession of the maintenance agreement or whatever. So, basically, what we need to do today is approve this, and then have you guys sign it, and I'll get with Steve and have him sign it, and we can get it recorded. So it'll be in our documents for the files for that, so,
We need a motion for that.
yeah, we'll get a motion for that.
And that's to, void the contract that he had.
Boyd did, the agreement, maintenance agreement they had, that he would maintain the pipe in the woods, for roots and stuff like that, and, I haven't heard any more. He said he had one tree he was gonna try to sell, and I haven't heard when I talked to him about this, I was gonna find out about that, but he called after the meeting we had last month, and one thing was for it, so. Doing away with that.
He called after a meeting for what?
Just let us know that he really appreciated it,
Appreciate
thanks
what
us
we
for
did for him.
what we done for him, so. And we're actually hoping to start that project, well, we were supposed to start it Friday, but it rained, or this, you know, it rained over the weekend and stuff, so he's hoping to start that this week, so we'll have that done in a couple, 3 days. But I guess I'll need the motion to approve this maintenance agreement.
So we got a motion and second on the maintenance agreement to disregard it and enter the new contract, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And we probably ought to get a couple of those signed, if we've got them. We've got a couple of her, if you wanna use those, or I got another one here, we can sign a couple of them. Should be in your packet, should be after the minutes, should do that. There's, well, it's probably the second one, yeah. Two of them. See, you got one, two of them.
You really might lose one between here and there. Yeah. The property I thought we already owned,
Yeah.
up north, yeah.
I wonder if it's still listed in Indiana's name, I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, they lost the paperwork before it got to the lieutenant governors. There's one to leave. I didn't pay you.
Yeah. 15, so. There you go. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next order of business is the new work, our new business. And we have 3 work orders, number 15, Joseph Shires over in, Monroe Township, it's on, 200 east, north of 100 north. Had a farmer say there was a sinkhole starting, it was kind of depression, the combine hit it. And so, we're gonna take care of that, we're over that way, now working on the Mills Woods project, so we'll get that one over there. 3721 is the number 63 Quinn Montgomery. It's in Monroe Township, south the end of basically the town of Bringhurst there. Chuck Anderson owns some ground down there, there's an inlet on his property and an inlet on the field by, where, the Fuller Farms owns. And Fuller Farms tile standing with probably 8 foot of water in a standing air well, and on the other one, it's just barely trickling water, there's some trees in between, so, we're actually gonna get ready to do go get a camera and go in from the low side and kinda go back and find out where it's plugged up and what's going on, if it's roots or what, and, get that taken care of. We're hoping to take care of that this week as well. Number 3821 is the number 50, Covey Newer, it's in Washington Township, it's, basically 700, no. 600 north, right, and 500 east. There's a tile, one of our tiles run down the fence line, ducks into a ditch, and we fixed 2 or 3 sinkholes there last year, now there's another one there, so we'll get up and take care of that. Next thing is, with the work that I was gonna ask for the board to set, maintenance hearings for January 17th, for that meeting there. And we have, that Clark Lowry, which is the Mills Woods there south of Carroll schools, with the work that we're doing on that, we're looking at probably being, about 17,000 in the negative, or not negative, but in the red, borrowed from the improvement fund. And with the current rate, we're charging now is, $2 an acre, we're only bringing in $1,100 or $2,300 a year, basically. It's gonna take quite a while to pay that back, so I was looking at raising that to $5, an acre from 2 and then have a $10 minimum instead of 5. And that way it would pay that off for 4 years. It gets back to being a positive.
4 years.
Yeah. And then, also setting up a hearing for the William Crook. It's, up basically just northeast of, Yeoman. We done a big project last year with one farmers up there. And, we put that in a negative, $16,000 last year. And its current rate's $2.50 an acre, with only 570 acres in the watershed. So we're only bringing in $1,400 a year, so it's taking gonna take almost 10 years, like 8 years to take that off. Plus they're actually proposing, we got another, one of the main lines that they're doing a pattern system in, and every place they dug is just falling apart. So we're looking at about another $32,000 in pipe, just replacing, general maintenance, same size for what it is. So the landowners want to know about doing that this year, and I told them with the rates we're having now, there's no way possible. And to do the money we've already borrowed from the improvement fund and this new project, we would have to raise the rate to $15 an acre, and it would still take 6 years to get back. And put like a $20 minimum on there. So, I talked to Ted about this, and he said, well, being that you're borrowing that much to do that, we need to get some insurance from the landowners that, we are gonna be able to get that money, or they're gonna agree to $15 an acre. That is quite pricey. But so he drew up a, waiver of notice of consent to, more or less, we'll still have the hearing, but they're already agreed to take part of it. And we had, there's basically 3 big landowners, and they are, they own, 86% of the watershed, and they all 3 signed off to agree to that, so.
They agreed to the $15?
Yeah, cause they know, they're both, 2 of the 3 farmers have got pattern systems they want to put in here pretty quick, and, the other one is just south, and that's gonna be a project coming up eventually too, so, we got some, 18's still decent, but there's a couple underneath the road we gotta replace, and stuff like that. The section's kinda egg-shaped, I guess you'd call it, so. Yeah, so, and I actually got a price for pipe, after our meeting last month, when I got contacted about this, and, it's only guaranteed through the 19th of this month for the price that I got it for. They can't hold it in longer than that without, for that same price. So, but I was gonna go ahead and, try to do a hearing on that, so we can set them for the 13th, we still should be able to get them on the next year's, assessment. It's for, property taxes, so. Yeah, so, we just need to, just get a motion to set the hearings for that date or whatnot.
You want it on the 17th?
Yeah, we do 17th, and we can, like today, we do start 11:15, just in case your guys' meeting runs over just a little bit. Well, that's when, I guess, if we set it for the same time for next year, because further on in our agenda, so. But,
What's the pleasure of the board?
Do you have a time on that?
let's do 11:15 for both of them, that way we'll just do one and then move on to the next.
Well, we can jump down to the dates and times for next year. We do that, and then we know we're good to do this other hearing. You guys would like to do that?
Yeah.
Because you gave us a paper for next year's dates and times.
Yeah, just the next thing on it, good. If we didn't know if you guys would want to still keep the same time and
You want to keep it second Mondays? So I need a motion to approve what's been presented for next year's meetings schedule. Yep. Granny board meeting schedule for 2022.
with any of it fell on the holiday, wasn't it?
So it'll be January 17th, February 21st, March 21st, April 18th, May 23rd, June 20th, July 18th, August the 15th, September the 19th, October the 17th, November the 21st, and December the 19th.
And actually, it would be, like, after looking at it, it's gonna be Martin Luther King Day, so it would be Tuesday, wouldn't it?
Yep.
You guys usually move,
So,
just make it the 18th.
the 18th,
Yeah.
January the 18th.
Is there any other holidays through the year?
That's what I was looking, I don't think they are.
I'd like to retract that motion.
Exception is granted.
With the, January 18th date.
That's your motion? I'll second. All right, I have a motion to approve the board meeting schedule for 2022, then move January 17th to the 18th. All in favor? Motion passes. You need a copy of that?
Oh, we'll send it.
Yeah.
He sends us a notice and we send it back to her.
Yeah,
That's why
I gotta send a letter.
Fine. So back to the January 18th meeting
Great.
for drainage hearing. You guys wanna do that at 11:15? Yes. Need a motion?
I'll move that we set the hearing for number 8. Two things, right?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Valley Green, number 8. For January the 18th, 2022, at 11:15.
Alright, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion passes for January 18th, 11:15.
Okay, with that, it is 11:15, 11:16, good.
Back to the George Hunt hearing.
So we'll go back to the, George Hunt drain, basically, last meeting, we had sent letters out to, the landowners affected in the county, as the town of Camden had, requested to have the petition to vacate removed. We sent out letters telling them that they was to send in favor or against back to the office 7 days ahead of time. And also, they can also attend the meeting. We did not receive any information. I mean, I did, go out and, like I told you before, when we was having these hearings, that one day we had a 2-inch rain, and that drain was working properly to keep up with a 2-inch rain, so, I did hear back that the 4-inch rain we had here a couple weeks ago, the water stood by 218 there, there's a couple inlets that was bubbling actually a little bit of water out, so, but it was gone by the next morning, so, I mean, I think it's still working good. I don't think it's not that bad of damage. There's been a lot of it been replaced and repaired. Of course, now Camden takes over all of it in town limits, so, I just still think it's just in need of maintenance, and I look for it not to be, need to be vacated. So, basically, he's gotta have a hearing, let the public talk, and paying landowners and outside of the limits wanna,
So, I know I've asked you several of this. We turned over the city limits inside the town of Camden to Camden Town. And in their order of, was it 2107?
something like that.
So I think it's what it says here, that they're gonna be collecting the fees, so they're still being charged.
They're gonna be responsible for the fees assessed to the landowners.
To be assessed, it's not what we assess.
No. What we assess, yeah, they have, since their water is still running into our county drain,
Right.
the town of Camden will pay out of their stormwater fees what they collect from the landowner, or the landowners now, that money there that they're building up there will pay the assessment fees.
Now, I don't think this is what they want. I really don't. I think they want them to pay complete, they didn't want their citizens to be charged at all for it. And under their order that they give us, we sign, they're still being charged what we,
Well, the landowners won't be charged. Whatever you're paying now will be paying now towards the stormwater fees.
right?
But when we send out when they send out the tax bills, the assessment will show up on the town of Camden's parcel. And they'll be responsible for everybody's will be zeroed out, and then Camden will be paying their fees.
So Camden's paying for everybody in the town of Camden,
Yes.
and I still don't think they wanted to do that.
No.
I really don't.
I mean, that's what they sent us, they said they agreed to it, that's the way the drainage law is written, if a corporation can pay the fees for the landowners, or incorporated towns can pay the fees for it.
So the people are not being, well, they're still being charged, but they're not being charged the extra.
And there's no extra additional fees yet.
Okay.
It's just basically the town, we have to spend the money, it's being brought in, some other money to pay for that assessment fees.
And they just got a grant to redo their portion inside of town, which will take less water down over the hill.
Yeah, they do have a grant, and from what I've been told, that to take care of getting that water, they're gonna take care of getting it away from our drain eventually. But as of today, I requested like 6 weeks ago, plans that they submitted with the grant or their new plans, and I have not done, other than being told from the town to go to the attorney, and the attorney's saying they haven't heard anything yet, so, that's all I've got back from the town of Camden.
So will they be cut off before
Not, right now, no, we can't,
until they get.
not until they take care of themselves. And that's when they gotta show us that, and once that's done, then they won't be paying at all. It'll just be the ones down, or from the town limit down.
And north,
In North, yeah.
Swayze's and what's going on.
Yes. Well, unless Camden's taking that water, they might have, I mean, it's not gonna be coming through our drain, so Swayze would probably have to pay the town of Camden maybe. Cause his, I mean, there's no county, the county drain does not extend on the Swayze, he ties into the end of our county drain. So, I mean, 'cause it ends right at the corporate lines up on north of the park there. So that's where the end of
Well,
the
he
county.
used to have water standing in his field until he connected that drain. So
Yeah.
he knows what.
Yeah, oh yeah, he connected, one to that drain there, and then he actually connected and run some to the other side where there were some issues with that drain in town, was fixing that, I mean, too, it runs down right there by the Lee Street or whatever. It comes in and then runs down by the railroad tracks and goes over by the auction barn and comes out, so. But, I guess, but just when we're having a hearing, so we have to open it up for public comment.
Anybody in the public here for the George Hunter? I know Mr. Craig is. Are you folks here for it? All right, who would like to speak first?
Just come up here and just, say your name and what you're wanting to, if you're in favor of.
Mr. Craig sent an email.
Yeah, basically, what we have is a petition to vacate it, and Camden's rescinded that, they don't wanna do that, cause all the easements are lost for the town of Camden, and then, so it's, basically, it's the people outside the city limits that signed the petition to have it vacated. We was more or less wanting to have, their input, that they wanted to still proceed to have it vacated, or to, leave it as a county maintenance and just pay the assessment fees we assessed, so.
Being Craig, as you know, I'm not on the inlet, I mean, on the outlet end of it down there, and it was, as the email said, that hopefully you received, you know, it's been 5 or 6 years. We'd like to get this thing settled and get that tile fixed. You know, it's a 24-inch, at the deepest part, it's 8 to 10 feet. I don't feel like I should be responsible to financially, you know, keep that up down there, and without everybody else pooling in to help do it, just like, you know, how a county maintenance thing is, everybody in the watershed helps pay for the maintenance, so I'd like to keep it on maintenance, and so we can get that tile fixed, hopefully soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, how would that work as far as he needs it fixed, so you,
Yeah, we've already done a hearing and it's already been assessed to put on maintenance, but we have not signed the final assessment sheet for the auditor because this petition to vacate come into play, so.
Town of Camden didn't vacate.
Yeah, so basically today we're looking either, basically looking to rescind the, or denying the petition to vacate and saying that it's not what it should be, and it just basically goes back to the maintenance, and then, we'll start collecting money, we can do repairs just like a regular work order, so. we'll be
So
collecting
basically, the
money
only
next
ones
year.
we're gonna be paying is right now would be the south of town and north of town until they take over that drain and take Swayze's water that comes into town.
Yeah, and money from the town came in, so.
So you'll have the money to fix it for it.
Yeah, we can start, I mean, we can, as soon as we get the certificate of assessment signed, and we can, it'll start collecting money next year, we can borrow from the improvement fund and get it worked out on this winter, fall, or at least before planting season next year.
You don't have funds available now?
Hmm?
The funds available now?
Well, this hadn't been collecting, it's not been on maintenance yet, so.
It's
that's
never
what
been
we-
on maintenance.
Not
It's
the-
never been on maintenance.
Never.
The place has been installed.
You have an estimate of repair?
No, I mean, it's, you don't know what we're gonna get into, cause there's like, if you start out one woman's what, 4 or 5 now? There's down there that's, I mean, it's just kind of been gradually pulling the dirt in from around it, but,
Check the outlet?
huh?
You check the outlet?
Yeah, it's just,
So the outlets, that tile runs all the time,
yeah, like in the pond.
even last summer because of the springs down there, so it's
Spring.
potentially runs, but Deer Creek is kind of filling up a little bit out there from the dirt that's
Yeah,
coming out of the field.
yeah, a lot of times we'll kind of take a, when we're down there, we can, if we get to it, whatever, like a lot of our open ditches, we'll clean out and from in front of the pipe. If it's accessible. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
What the,
But we have another window that wants to talk, I think.
You want to come up,
sorry,
Sure.
state your name and your business, please?
I don't know if I can speak for Sarah or not, but, she lives right beside us, but we live over the hill, and I really don't even know why I'm here, cause I don't have anything that goes into this tile, and neither do they. I don't really, I'm all for getting tile fixed, but I don't see why I should have anything to do with maintenance cost or anything for the tile. 'Cause I
What's
don't
your
have
name, sir?
any, Richard Barmore. Yeah,
Cause, basically our watersheds are developed,
so I'm all for vacating it.
yeah, but it's for topo purposes. So basically, the way the lay of the land is, like if you get a 3-inch rain, not all of it soaks in, it runs off. So it runs towards where the tile actually is in that ground, where it would pick it up, absorb it through the ground, of course, it doesn't, there's not, I mean, not everybody's got, I mean, we probably only got 6 landowners in town that has tile that's actually on the property, but, I mean, there's a big watershed, there's probably 50 people up there in land surrounding it, that their water gets to eventually.
So the way I understand it now, though, the only people that would be responsible for keeping this tile up would be my son's property, my property, and Dean.
And then the.
So why should we all be responsible for paying for this tile maintenance when, as far as I'm looking at it, you don't have any, it's not doing us any good.
But, the town of Camden's still gonna be paying for all the people up there, so I mean, like, I don't remember how many acres you had or what yours.
11, 12 acres.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't remember what we set the rate at.
Are you round the pond area?
No, he's,
I'm right before the bridge over Deer Creek.
yeah,
I'm clear as far as you can go,
yeah, 'cause the
before
way,
you go across the bridge.
the way the lay of the land was, a lot of his water goes towards the Deer Creek south, but then there's a low area to the west, and it kinda turns around and runs the water back towards the north, and it goes closer to where the outlet is. That's how it kinda was, that's how the watershed picked it up.
So what
That's
would
not
you-
even my property down there though, along the creek.
Yeah.
That part that curves around, that's, behind Dean's field.
Yeah, but that says basically the topos show that your water's running into his field as far as that's where the maps, the LiDAR maps we have, it picks up the contrast, but it shows your water runs onto his surface water, and then it runs back that way, so that's how it holds it in. But,
But your whole 12 acres probably isn't
No,
assessed, is it?
Not the whole
it
12 acres.
shouldn't be, because by the time my property gets down lower, my property's lower than the field. So by the time it gets to where it's even close to being level with the field or the woods back there, the water's already went into the creek. cause if you look at my property, it's lower actually than most of the field is.
Is he next to that one?
Go ahead.
I am.
That's his
Oh,
dad.
okay,
That's
that's your,
Ross's
that's
dad.
Ross's dad, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm his wife, I'm here
Yes.
for Ross.
Ross is in Ohio right now, so, or he'd be here.
So I'm just here.
So anyways, that's basically what I wanted to say. So,
Do you have a map handy?
it's just, I don't know, it just seems like I wouldn't be involved in this whole situation, if you ask me. And I can see, you know, the people that were draining from the town, the storm sewers and stuff that were going down through there. The last I heard, were they gonna take the church and somebody else and run that down Leonard's side of the road and run it into the creek over there?
I haven't heard that.
I mean, we looked at,
I heard something about that.
we did look at, the cost of, to do a, cause like Ross had talked to me about possibly doing away with the land over there. And we looked at, cost of running from the bottom of the hill on Leonard's property, going straight south to Deer Creek Air, just eliminating that going over there. But it was actually, to run the same size of pipe, and it was actually a further distance to go, so it was gonna be more costly to do it that way than to go across the road and keep on where we already got the easements. We had to buy easements from Leonard and all that stuff, and it was gonna be a lot more costly project, and there was a lot of trees and debris, and like I said, it was gonna be more than trying to take that up where it was just a smaller, I mean, if he wanted to just do a smaller pipe, and, that way, cause I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of there's a lot of water that comes from town and Leonard's property from that pond, and, I mean.
So now, the way you're looking at it now, it'd be Justin Spangler's place and Leonard's place, and Ross and me and Dean having to upkeep the whole tile?
No, well, once the town of Camden does something they do and it takes away a lot of the water from that tile, then it would probably be.
Yeah, the town of Camden
Yeah.
was after a grant to take their water and move it down towards like they did that new drain they just put in
By the cemetery.
by the cemetery. They added to that. And they was gonna do that for this time, but they miscalculated the depth between the two drains. Their drain was higher than the George Hunter.
Yeah,
So they would've had to put it in like a pump system or something, and they didn't have the money for that. And they was running out of time to do theirs, so they just went ahead and did their portion, and now we're dealing with this.
Yeah.
Do you know how much he would be paying if, cause I don't
Well,
think.
there
all
was
this
another
property-
issue, originally it came out that we were gonna pay something like 20-some bucks a year, I thought, and then I heard it was gonna be a lot higher than that. So I don't know if anybody really knows.
We should be able to find out here in a minute.
basically. Yeah, it looks like 34, 26 a year, for that being in, I'm not sure. Yeah, what happened was, is we had the company delineated the watershed, and we had them, do this, and we told them it was gonna be drain number 122, or 121. Well, evidently, they did a project for us in the past, and it had, for another county, that they had attached 121 too, so it pulled another watershed and this watershed together. So we were showing we had like twice the acreage, so we thought we'd be able to do a lot cheaper cost. But then after, well, we mailed letters out for the hearing, because it was brought up at the hearing. But the letters that were mailed out, we had a lot of people from that other drain call and say, how does my water drain in the Camden when I'm clear over here on the other side, south of Burlington, where it was at? And, so we sent out letters to all the people that was not in the watershed, telling them this regard is not that there. And then at the hearing, we addressed the rate changes and why it was done.
So it'd be $30-some.
Yeah, and it would be split, so it'd be like $17 more on each tax assessment you pay in the spring and fall. So you just got the one parcel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Ross's would be, how much is his?
Yeah, his was not.
So what's to keep this from going up every year?
We have to have a hearing and all the landowners get to speak. I mean, once the board sets, or the hearing, you guys are the ones that set the rate, or through the hearing process, and, yeah, Ross's is $10 a year, so basically $10 on his spring assessments, and then,
And he's closer to the drain than I am,
Yeah.
he's paying less. That
He's
makes
actually
sense.
on top of it.
it's price per acre is what it is, yeah.
That makes-
Cause it's actually, yeah,
What was it, $5 an acre, we set that at?
I believe so,
I mean, if it's signed,
or something like that, it was in that area, yeah.
So in other words, it could go up every year too from there.
no. It could, but we have to come in front of the board like we're doing now.
Yeah, and everybody would get a letter, and.
I don't see us raising it unless it absolutely has to. If that pipe's gonna cost $100,000 to fix, which I don't think
But
so.
that would, and if we get to a point like that, it's usually reconstruction, and we have a big meeting, but yeah, I mean, we're not allowed to raise the rates other than, I mean, I can do a 25% increase one time after we set a rate, but it's the life of that time.
So are you gonna fix just where the pipe's bad, or are you gonna
Yeah.
replace the whole pipe?
Right now, I'm just fixing.
So then,
replacing-
say 10 years from now, the whole pipe breaks down in another place like it is now, then they don't have enough money from what you collected from us to pay it, then that's gonna go up, right?
Well, like if, yeah, say right now, we had $2,000 in the fund, and there's a $3,000 repair. We have an improvement fund we borrow from, and then as long as it's not, it can get paid back within a couple of years, we just leave the rate the same as it is now. It just wouldn't get, but like I said, anytime we do something like that, we would have a hearing and raise the rate, do a meeting, and you'd be notified by letter, and,
We try not to raise anything that's. And then the plus side is, you're looking at the downside is, so if this gets fixed, once you read a certain amount in that drain, you don't pay it.
yeah, we're, until we use it again, yeah. Yeah, we can only collect up to 4 times the annual assessment, so. Basically, like if, say we bring in $2,000 a year, if the balance gets up to $8,000, the next year you wouldn't be paying that assessment on your taxes, it would be until we use some of it to get it down below that, and then it would do that, so. Cause I think, actually, from what I seen on your report, you're only paying on like 6 acres, of your 12 acres of land or something like that. Or 6-point-some acres, 6.85 acres, so your whole parcel's not being assessed for it, it's just part of it that's getting.
So there's basically no way that we're gonna get out paying it anything.
Well, I mean, we've already set the.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole point of the meeting, was
Yeah.
just to get, basically to say we wanted to vacate it, and then we're responsible for.
Yeah, but now the whole town of Camden's done away with the vacation. They didn't wanna vacate it because they was gonna lose all their easement, so that whole, and then, they said they don't wanna do vacation now, so then we were trying to touch base with landowners and, see what their thoughts were. I mean, it can be moved forward, but it has to be the majority of the landowners in favor of vacation, so. Usually it's what they do, 'cause that's what most things are, is either 50% or more in favor of or against, or something like that, so.
Okay, well, let's see what you're saying.
Thanks, right here. That's further north.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this right below.
Yep.
What I was looking for is his property on
He is right on the creek. I actually helped, when I was on the fire department, throw sandbags down so it wouldn't get flooded.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. I think we threw a couple hundred of them things around.
that. Are you on the east or the west side of
West.
75?
West.
West?
He just got like a small portion that just goes right.
Yeah, about half of those lands in assessed.
So when would this get fixed if it's ever gets done?
The tile,
Yeah,
we're looking to fix it this fall or before next planting season anyway. Sooner the better, cause like I said, it keeps taking more and more dirt
right.
from the ground, it's putting it in Deer Creek, making it harder to get the water out too, so. That that's where, once we're guaranteed we're gonna have it on maintenance, and then we can borrow from the improvement fund and get it fixed, and,
See, that's the problem, it's never been put on maintenance ever.
yeah. It's 100 years old. I mean, there's been a lot of it replaced, I mean, a lot of it through town has been replaced one time or another, and then actually coming over the hill to Leonard's, it was replaced once too.
And that was done by the town, I believe.
Town, or, yeah, I think it was, part of it was town, down in there.
This seems like, so this originally was a county drain, right? Then I don't understand why county's not paying for it.
Because it was never put on assessment.
Yeah.
From day one.
Yeah, back in 1965, they used to have basically, the county had this big pot of money, which is like an improvement fund, and any county drain that was on the map was covered by that fund. Well, in 1965, they come up with drainage law, and you had to, they restructured everything, and, because people were complaining that this farmer was getting all his tile fixed, because he owns thousands of acres, where this 40-acre farmer couldn't get nothing fixed, because he was just a little guy out of nowhere. So they made it where each watershed, or each drain made your own watershed, and the people that paid on it, that was only used for that only, so they tried to break it up, and then basically at that point, any drain had to be petitioned to be put on maintenance at that point. And there's a lot of them that I mean, you can see the map, there's still probably half the county that's not on maintenance that should be. I mean, there's a lot of tile, and it's old and.
And the only reason why this is ever brought up, because of the sinkhole that showed up.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not, we wouldn't even be here talking today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, that's all I had to say.
All right, well, thank you. You wanna say anything, young lady, or I'll say it all for you?
Just whatever, just go with that.
Anyone else? Town didn't show up like I said you were going to. We already took care of town, so they don't.
Yeah, I mean, everyone that didn't, they were against it, I mean, now, because of the easements, so they can have them for their jurisdiction, but, it's basically, at this point, it's your board's recommendation, either to, basically do, or deny, denying the petition to vacate, or vacate it, it's your choice, I guess. But, I mean, say we've had to Camden and Dean, and, all in favor of keeping it on maintenance, or keeping it on as a county drain, just, and we'd already classified it as needed maintenance on our hearing, put it on maintenance, so. I guess it's your choice to make a motion to do one or the other.
So, I don't know, it's just, you hate to have something on somebody that should be taken care of. How do I look at it? Should in a working order when we do it, some off the second. You know, that big. There's the money there or there right now.
And we can't repair without being on maintenance either.
Correct.
We just can't go down there and fix it and then
Basically,
vacate it and say that it's being their own, it has to be.
Basically, that's the landowners, I mean, like I said, it's still technically, it's a mutual drain, so really everybody should be involved, that's why, I mean, and there's new drainage law about these mutual drains and stuff, and, I mean, you can't do away with them, but yeah, you can't, I mean, we got some that if somebody's trying to block a tile, and we find out it's not because of or not because they intentionally tried to do it, it was just like a tree root blocker, then we have to go back and assess all the landowners anyway, so it's almost like putting it on maintenance, so. A lot of the counties are like, they're going to almost all, everything will be on maintenance before it's over with, I mean.
So basically, our hands are tied.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, no, I mean, you guys do it, the vote, I mean, I'm just giving you the options, I guess, and, I say we've already petitioned to put it on maintenance, but it's, this is the end of the hearing of the vacation, I guess. No,
Can I say something else? Sure. If you guys wanna go on Google Earth, you can see the holes.
think you can park a Volkswagen in one of them.
More than one now.
Try to park your combine in.
Yeah. That parked the combine in first time.
That's part of this, yeah, this is.
So if it costs $12,000 to get this, you think it's gonna cost that much to repair that down
Oh,
there?
I would hope not. I mean, it's right now,